Hey YouTube, what's going on? Thanks for joining the Everyday Prepper channel. We're talking about cooking on the homesteading series. So we have, first off, we're going to talk about utensils. Now, a lot of people would say, just go to Sam's Club or go to maybe Costco and just buy yourself a few thousand plastic forks and spoons and knives and just be done with it. Why even worry? Uh, I don't know about that. I think that that would cause a lot of, garbage, and if there's no infrastructure, let's say that the reason you're having to survive or homestead, off grid because there is no infrastructure, you don't want all this stuff to accumulate. And this is the same thing that when we get into cups and plates, people say just buy a bunch of paper cups and plates or styrofoam cups and plates and just forget about it. But once again, you're going to have mountains of garbage bags of all this stuff. So I do not recommend doing that. I'd say, hey, just wash your, utensils, wash your pots and pans and your cups and plates as you go. So whatever you typically use, you're already going to probably already have it in your kitchen because we're talking about your homestead. And so you're going to be pretty much bugging in at home. So whatever you already have is probably going to be good enough. And we talk about pots and pans. I like stainless steel pots and pans. I think they're really, easy to clean. They tend to be very durable. I like the cast iron over open fire, for example, fire pits or campfires or even to cook on my wood stove. But, a lot of people kind of get a little crazy and they buy sizes that are much too large for their family because they're thinking, okay, we need to cook a lot at one time. But the problem is it's hard to keep all that extra food because there's no refrigeration in a lot of these situations. So unless you have a really cold root cellar or you have the means to power your refrigerator, it may not be that great to overcook a lot of meals. Cups and plates. Once again, you could go, the disposable route, but you're going to have a lot of garbage. I used to really be into ceramic cups and plates, but over the years, just one by one, they fall to the ground and hit the counter the wrong way and they shatter. And I'm not saying all ceramic products are really fragile. I mean, I've had some that were very durable that actually, resisted breaking many times. I mean, I dropped some of them multiple times, probably dozens of times, and they never broke. But over time, they eventually broke and they shatter usually. And it could be a hazard, especially if you have kids and stuff. You could get cut, and you don't want to be cut real bad, especially in a survival situation or if you're forced to homestead. So for me, just personally, I avoid the ceramic now. I do have a little bit of of a thing for wood, bowls. I'm not sure why. I love my wood bowls, and I eat at them all the time. But I would have to say that wood cups, plates, and bowls, even though they're cool looking, and if you can keep them clean, that's cool. But they could harbor a lot of bad, bacteria, especially in a grid down when you're limited on water and soap, and especially hot water. Man, you got to be careful. You could actually make yourself sick if you don't have, your cups, plates, and bowls not clean. So this is what I would default. This is just my opinion, but I think that stainless steel cups and plates and bowls are pretty much the best way to go. They're going to be durable. They're very easy to clean and to sanitize, and I think that's just something that you may want to consider. That's just what I've gone to. Storage containers and bags. So we have mason jars. Definitely make sure you have lids for them. But you could put your dry goods in there, or you could store leftovers, or even if you forage, or if you have extra garden types of produce or vegetables, whatever, you could put that in there. Just like Tupperware or the equivalent of Tupperwares out there, you have all kinds of storage bags like Ziploc or the Hefty brand, and they have all kind of different closure devices. Some of them are like zippers, and some of them are like these sliding bars, whatever you're into. Hefty says that their sliding mechanism is stronger than the Ziploc bags, but I don't know. I've never tested them. So you could store a lot of things in these, and that's going to be somewhat important. The next thing is going to be the means to cook food. A lot of times we don't think all the way through about, okay, we have all the food and we have the ability to put the food on a plate, but how are we going to cook it? And so a lot of us may be dependent on electricity for our ovens, and for our stoves. Maybe you just cook most of your stuff through the microwave. I hope not. But the one thing I can say is that, you could have a natural gas or a propane tank as like a reserve tank that is connected to your stoves and ovens. So that could be one way. So if the grid goes down, at least you'll have a reserve tank. Otherwise, like for myself, I like my wood stove. It's always there. You can definitely cook on it. My wood stove has the two burner tops that I can put two different things on. And you could always use your grill. If you have an outdoor grill, that would be something you could use. A fire pit, you could definitely cook over that. If you have a camp stove or like a tabletop burner, you can use that inside or out, a lot of them at least. And that could be you definitely have to have some, fuel sources. Once again, it could be butane, whatever it is that they use. And a lot of them actually use a variety. They're pretty adaptable. A campfire could be used, in a more, kind of rough situation if you're running out of options. Just like alcohol canisters, you could definitely use them. But once again, you're eventually going to run out if that's all you have. And you can also use tea lights or other candles. And it's going to cook, your food pretty slow, but you can definitely warm food up and cook some things with candles. Now, dried food is going to typically be in the format of like your freeze-dried and dehydrated. And so you're going to want to have the ability to rehydrate that for one, and then to cook or warm it. So that's a given. And if you're using MREs, you can eat them cold or you can warm them up. They're always better, though, when you warm them up. Some MREs come with the heaters built in. So that's just something to pay attention to. Just having general skills. Now, this is going to sound basic to some people, but some people literally just don't cook their own meals. So the ability to cook eggs, to harvest meat from raised animals that they're in their possession, or any kind of hunted animals. Also to process and to cook vegetables maybe from their garden. So how to skin an animal, how to scale and process a fish, and how to flavor your foods. That's actually pretty big right there. If you can't do that, then you might want to look into those. So what about some other alternative things besides just like your utensils, pots and pans and bowls and cups and plates and storage containers? What about wash basins? If you don't have running water, maybe you rely on city water, you might want a nice washing basin to wash your dishes and stuff, or to do other projects with. I think a wash basin is going to be very versatile. So you could always use it to wash your clothes or other things. What about wash rags? I'd probably keep a small reserve of extra wash rags, just like extra pieces of cheesecloth, just in case. And then lids, once again, for your mason jars or any type of lid for any of your pots and pans. I know from me, though, that food just cooks a lot more efficiently when you have the top on. So that's something that you want to have. And then have, obviously, a variety of spices, herbs, seasonings. It goes a long way to minimize palate fatigue and to allow you to kind of eat some of the same food over and over without basically getting bored. So if you just have a lot of rice and beans, you may be able to fix that rice and beans in several dozen ways that doesn't get that boring, at all. So that's kind of cool. I also would like to keep a lot of different types of recipes in standby and cookbooks, obviously, so that if you want to get creative, and you could also use that as a good, healthy distraction. So if there's like a grid down situation and, you could get into your cookbook and get into a project and get your mind off of the state of the community that's around you. And then lastly, I would like to say it's very advantageous to practice. For me, I try to do once a month, just at least one meal once a month of making a meal in a more primitive fashion. And this could be just simply just going and making a little campfire. This is typically what I do. I make a campfire and just cook on there. No big deal. It's very easy. In fact, it's so enjoyable. I find myself doing it more so than just once a month. So, hey, this is the loadout here we have for cooking for the homesteading series. Thanks for coming along. You guys take care.